The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Episode 51 of the Warren and Bradley Show, only one episode away from a one-year anniversary.
I knew you were going to talk about that. A 50-second show isn't that amazing an accomplishment.
Well, but it means a year.
Have we really done one every single week?
Yeah. Every single week for a year.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we've been very consistent.
That we started the show and then we have delivered every single week.
That's how much we care about our audience. There's been times, well, pretty much you've been the only one who's gone out of town, but you know, we've made arrangements. If you're not going to be around, I slave away over the hot computer to make sure that the audience gets a brand new episode of the Warren and Bradley Show every week, and we know that they appreciate us for that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Speaking of appreciation, audience members, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes. Make sure you leave a review for us on iTunes, because that's how we climb the charts.
I haven't looked at that in months and months and months. Do we have more reviews than we used to?
I think there's like 20.
There's 20?
Well, there's 20 ratings. I'm not sure if there's 20 reviews.
Oh, okay. I don't remember there being nearly that many reviews.
Yeah.
But they're all positive.
They're all very positive, yeah.
Yeah. I looked at that for the first couple of weeks, and I haven't taken a look since
I'm kind
then.
of looking forward to getting our first negative review at some point. Like, because usually...
Well, don't ask for it.
What's that?
You don't want to...
Well, no. I mean, only if... I don't want people to just, for the hell of it, write a negative review, unless they really mean it. But
I get negative reviews to my face occasionally, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anything online.
Yeah, but our friends... See, that's the thing about the whole friend thing.
Yeah, it's a real sham.
Well, no. But they're more apt to tell you shit that isn't really constructive necessarily. Like... But
maybe they feel that they are comfortable enough to tell you the truth sometimes.
Maybe. But sometimes it's also just, this is a podcast. It has a certain... If you like podcasts... then you might like the show. If you don't like podcasts, then you're probably not going to like the show.
That's true. I know what you're saying. I know the people that I know that listen to podcasts do like the show because they kind of understand what the podcast
right. And I think we have some friends
is.
who might listen occasionally, even though they don't really like podcasts, but they listen because it's us, and so they might be like, yes.
No, like, this is pointless.
It's two people talking.
Yeah, we don't like those people anyways. Now we have to listen to them recorded talking.
It's been getting fracking cold lately.
It has been, but also... Last couple days, we saw the sun a little bit.
We did, and that's why it's been so cold.
Yes.
And basically, the Pacific Northwest weather pattern, when it gets into the wintertime, if it's cloudy and rainy, then it's not as cold, and so we don't get that much snow, because if there's cloud cover...
And there's almost always cloud cover.
Yeah, it warms up a bit, but when you get a nice clear day, that's when the temperature drops. It was like 28 degrees this morning, I think, when I woke up.
Lovely.
And I've been irritated, because...
No.
This is a very specific...
We're hitting all the beats, here. We're asking for reviews. We're talking about the weather, and now you're going to start complaining.
Well,
so everyone, if you're wondering what show you're listening to, you know what show you're listening to.
This is a very specific irritation that I have to report on. I like hats when it's cold. I like to keep the old ears warm.
Yeah.
And the thing that irritates me is that...
So to speak?
There is, the stocking cap, the watch cap, the toque, as some Canadian friends might call it.
Yeah.
It's a very basic item that you would think that you'd be able to find very easily. And yes, you can go to most stores and they have stocking caps, but almost every single one of them have morphed into that ridiculous Smurf hat that everyone wears now, where it's way too long. So you put it on top of your head, and then you've got this big nipple sticking out over the top of your head, which really annoys the hell out of me.
No, you're supposed to fold it, though.
Well, even if you fold it, there's too much. There's way too much. And so you're folding it all the way to, like, the crown of your head.
Oh, you have a little, ring around the top there, fold it over.
And I hate this thing that people do, where girls can get away with it for some reason, it's fine, but the men who go and like put it on the very back of their head, so it's like barely sitting perched on their head, and then they've got this giant nipple sticking out in the back. They look like a fucking Smurf, and it really pisses me off.
Well, it's because it's just like superfluous at that point.
Yeah, what is it doing?
It's just like a decoration.
It's a woolen cap. It's supposed to be keeping your head warm. So I want a normal, basic, black wool cap that you can fold over and then will fit closely on the top of your head.
Well, take a look at this.
Warren is finding a cap right now.
This is what I wore over today.
Yes.
Let me put this on. That's a normal stocking cap, right?
Yeah, but it has a label on it, on the outside of it. It's a Carhartt stocking cap that Warren is wearing right now.
That drives you crazy?
I cannot have a label. See, because I can find hats. I actually went to the mall yesterday, which is a whole other ordeal that I don't even really want to talk about.
Of course you're going to find like ridiculous caps like that at the
where
mall.
else? Where the fuck else are we going to go?
Well, how about Fred Meyer? Have you tried Fred Meyer?
Yes, I've tried Fred Meyer.
They don't have them?
They have stocking caps, but the only ones that were slightly like the ones I wanted were like Columbia Sportswear emblazoned on the fold up on the thing.
Yeah.
I just want a basic black with no label.
You can get a black one like the one I have in my hand right now and remove the label. This is a heavy duty. This is like a working man's stocking cap.
Yeah, but
right?
see, that's the other thing too. I want a nice, thin, maybe merino wool. Soft.
Okay, now see how this what's happening here. The problem isn't the stocking cap industry. The problem is you, because you're getting very weirdly picky about a stocking cap.
That's not that weirdly picky. That's a very basic item.
I don't want to. What kind of? You want a special kind of wool?
Merino wool. It's a very soft wool.
And you want a certain length of stocking cap, and it needs to not say anything on it.
It's like.
Have you looked on Amazon.com?
I've tried. I've looked. I finally ordered one online for like $9.
I have a stocking cap like that. I've got at the dollar store before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're not going to find a merino wool.
No, probably not at the dollar store. Although I will tell you this: what happened to me on my way in here. As I was walking up to the building, of course, there was some guy trying to jumpstart his old Ford van with a convertible cabriolet.
Okay. Well, cabriolet means convertible.
Which was the same thing that he was doing when I was walked away from your house last week.
Really?
Which was very odd.
Has the van been there the entire time?
I don't know. Maybe
people like to park decrepit vehicles around my apartment.
And then use this as like a place to work on your car, basically. Yeah. And as I walked up to your stoop, there were 3 people hanging out there, homeless people. Street freaks. So I took off my earbuds, put them in my pocket, and so the real old one goes, "Ooh, you know a good place where you can get good earbuds?" And I was like,
"Really?
I don't know." And he goes, "Well, I saw some at the dollar store." And I was like, "Oh, did you?" And he's like, "For $1." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, Panasonic. And I was like desperately trying to like dial your name in there, like, please answer and just let me in because I don't want to have this conversation any longer. He's like, all the different colors you want. And I was like, so you use this thing to ask me about headphones to enter in this conversation about... Right. It's like he's working on commission for the dollar store.
Maybe he is.
Well, it's a very small commission.
He gets 10% of every sale.
And we're back.
We are back. And... You know, one thing I didn't mention last week, the whole daylight savings thing really crept up on me this year. For some reason, I thought it was at the end of November or something, because haven't they been changing it around lately?
Well, I thought, I had a discussion like the day before it happened with my girlfriend where we were like, did that happen?
Right.
Because I don't use a phone or a clock that isn't like part of a computer anymore. So it very easily could have happened and me not notice. Yeah. But apparently it was just going to happen that night, so we just barely thought about it in time. Well,
yeah, that's the thing now, too, is that I don't wear a watch anymore because I just have a cell phone on all the time. And I think when it happened, I was at home, and I believe I was playing Minecraft. And I remember looking at my cell phone, and it was like 1:55 or something. I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
You're playing Minecraft at 1:55
at night?
Like,
this is sad. I need to go to
Saturday
bed.
night too.
Yeah. And so then I went and washed my face, took my contacts out, brushed my teeth, the whole 9 yards. And then I went and looked at my clock on my bed, my clock radio, and that didn't change because it's not hooked up to a satellite or whatever. And so that said like 2:06 or something like that.
Did you do a double take?
No, because that was
what
right.
you thought it was. Yeah.
That made sense. And so then I closed my eyes for 2 seconds, and then I looked at my cell phone, and suddenly it was an hour earlier. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" And because I was tired, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't realize that daylight savings had happened, and for some reason, I couldn't turn my head to look at my clock radio, which wouldn't have changed. I was just staring at my phone for a good 10 minutes, thinking that somehow, I don't know, I had gone back in time or something weird had happened. It was very strange, and then I started eventually I understood what had happened, and I started going in a little mental argument with myself about why we still have daylight savings time, and shouldn't we just stop it?
It's as far as I know, it's a conspiracy of Benjamin Franklin and farmers, and maybe the Masons or something.
It
I don't
was
know.
farmers originally.
Yeah,
It's
right?
like, oh, you have more daylight to plant your crops and sow and reap and do all that bullshit. And then when they extended it a couple years ago, I think it was because of energy prices
it was
or
about
something.
energy consumption, I think.
Yeah.
Trying to line up our day with the time it was light out so we wouldn't use lights as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now what ends up happening here, in a place that's pretty far north, almost in
Yes.
Canada, a place that's constantly overcast for 9 months.
Yes.
It gets pretty dark at about 3:30.
Yeah.
And I know years ago I was driving on the freeway a little after 3, and I had a cop come over his little intercom thing and yell at me about having my lights on. And I was like, you know what I mean? The kids aren't even out of middle school yet. You know, I mean, for the day.
Yeah, see, I can't decide which I hate more: waking up when it's pitch black or driving home from work when it's pitch black. It's an either or kind of thing, and it's I don't know. Both of them have their fors and against, I guess. You feel more tired when it's still dark out in the morning and you're going to work, but then by the time you get off work and it's dark, then you feel like
Then you feel like you should be like having dinner at 4 and then going to bed
Yeah.
at like 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either, and it seems unnecessary and unnecessary complication to me too.
It is with the cell phone now. You can always look and know what time it is wherever you are. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I was wandering around this weekend. I didn't go out at all. I haven't been going out at all lately.
No.
I don't really see the point anymore.
That's the spirit.
Good. Well,
You have Minecraft. What do you need to go out for?
I've got the Minecraft. I just need to hire a mail order bride or something, and then I'll be set. But I was wandering around this weekend trying for some sort of human interaction because I kind of need that every once in a while.
So you headed down to where the homeless and drug addicts hang out downtown? Yeah.
headed where the homeless people roam. I was standing on the corner, and I do this thing that some people might consider cruel, but I don't. I think of it as a nice thing to do, where occasionally
Yeah.
I'll be standing on the corner, and, you see people walking by, and it's kind of a little game I play with myself to see if people are going to give you a little friendly nod as they walk by, or if
Yeah.
they'll ignore you. And so... you might see an older gentleman with like a walking stick will walk by, and you go, and you give him a little nod, and he goes, and gives you a nod,
Yeah.
or he ignores you, or he gives you some weird look, and you it's a fun little game to play.
Yeah.
And occasionally there'll be an attractive woman who will walk by, and I'll give her like a ooh kind of look. And I'll see, I do it
Where you
on...
like check her out? You like kind of undress her with your eyes
No,
or something?
no, not like a leering, disgusting
Just try to
look.
catch her eye and get
You
like
catch her eye and give her a little like hey,
raised
how's
eyebrow?
it going?
Yeah, okay.
And you want to see, it's funny to see how they respond to you, because some girls will be like, oh, and smile back, and
Yeah.
others will be kind of like, oh, I don't know. It sounds like I'm this freak.
You're just toying with people, basically. You sound like a psychopath.
I don't know,
Yeah.
kind of. But occasionally I will give that look to a girl who... maybe by society standards is not the most attractive person in the world, because I think of it this way, where they know that they're not very good looking. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that you always will know in our society, is whether or not you're good looking. If you're a girl, especially, guys, maybe...
Lots of people are strongly in denial about it, but
Maybe, but...
I think deep down you probably know.
Deep down you probably know. Guys, sometimes it's not as clear because,
It's not always that important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was this girl the other day... Well, usually if there is a girl who's kind of meh, and I give her a kind of look,
Yeah.
and then they kind of, they brighten up, they
Yeah.
feel kind of happy, and I'm like, oh, there you go. I just brightened their day a little bit because I'm so good looking. And I gave them such an interested look, then they
That's
think.
an interesting theory. Okay,
Yeah.
carry on.
But the other day, this kind of backfired on me, because there was this girl, this won't make any sense to anyone who didn't go to grade school with Warren and I, but do you remember that girl?
Oh, God.
Maybe I shouldn't even say her name.
I know the one who was like passing notes.
Yes, and used to wear purple tights. Purple tights all the time.
Yeah.
Basically, there was a girl in our grade school. We don't need to go into.
We're gonna go into it.
details.
Just that, really ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She looked kind of like her, like the grown-up version
Oh
of
no.
this girl.
Yeah.
She was walking by. She was kind of dumpy. She had glasses. She just looked miserable,
Yeah.
basically. And maybe the kind of girl who would be really into Twilight, or like she was kind of a nerd,
Yeah.
the girl geek equivalent or something.
I know the type.
And so she was walking by, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try my thing. I'm going to give her a look.
Yeah.
So I went, ooh, and gave her the look as she went by, and she went, and did a double take.
Yeah.
And then she stopped in her tracks and sort of stood there fidgeting and kind of looking back and forth at me and at her feet. And I was like, oh no. So now she thinks that there's going to be some sort of interaction and that something has to happen here.
Yeah.
So she actually walked a little ways away again and rounded the corner. I was like, okay, drama averted. This will be fine.
Resolved, yeah.
So I went back to smoking and drinking my coffee. But then I saw her head go and peek out from around the corner, and she gave me a look, and then I looked over at her, and she went, oh, and like looked away again, like really embarrassed and kind of shy. But eventually she got up enough nerve, and she came up to me and said, hello. And I went, hello. It's a nice day. And at the time it was raining. I think she was just trying to make some sort of conversation.
Yeah.
And then I saw her looking at me. She was desperately trying to think of something to say to me. So she was like looking me up and down, and she focused on my belt, which was a black leather belt.
Oh, okay.
It's very basic black leather belt. She went, I like your belt. Thank you. I like your... And my brain was like doing mental math very quickly. I was like, do, scanning up and down. And finally I noticed that she had this like Hello Kitty patch on her pants that was like sewn on there. And I went, I like your Hello Kitty patch. And she just brightened immeasurably and was like, thank you. I made it myself and sewed it on my pants. Yes. Okay.
She made the patch herself?
I don't think so. It looked like it was I don't know. So basically, I had a like 5-minute conversation with this person where she was doing her best to flirt with me, but she did not know how to flirt with me in any way, shape, or form.
You probably weren't reciprocating the flirting.
Well,
so
I was doing my
harder.
best to be polite, but also not do anything else that would make her think that I was interested in her, because I'd already made the mistake of giving her the Brad look, and obviously that just drew her to me with amazing magnetism. And so basically now I've decided that I can never do that ever again, because the fallout from it is just way too much to deal with.
Yeah, but I think it would have been probably fine if she just walked by.
Yeah.
It probably would have just brightened her day.
Well, that's what had always happened in the past, but she was actually...
But I don't think maybe nothing happened in this interaction that like hurt her probably either, though, right?
I don't know.
Because she just walked away thinking, oh, that guy thought I was hot stuff, you know?
Yeah, but it was like she was trying to lead the conversation into... I mean, who knows what her dating history has been? Who knows what kind of interaction she normally has with women? Or with men? If she has any sort of social circle where there are men she has crushes on, or what she does.
Yeah.
But to me, it seemed as though she was pulling out all the stops to like bring this conversation to some sort of resolution where, I don't know, she was going to ask me out. Or
oh, he's choking up, people. No. He's crying.
Yeah, I am, the emotion. Or I was going to ask her out or something, and nothing like that happened. And she did go away, I think, kind of disappointed or maybe confused because she had thought that I was interested in her just because I looked at her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't think it's not like you like said, get away from me, ugly.
Well,
and I kicked her in the tuchus and to send her out of there. That would have hurt her feelings.
Not
probably.
in so many words. Took us.
But I mean, she probably just like, oh, that interaction didn't go for well. Maybe she's like still like hoping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pining away. Writing in her journal about the like scrawny guy that talked to her on the street, and how maybe someday they can kiss, you know?
Not scrawny.
And that's hope. That's nice, right?
That's all we have.
Yeah, who knows? Your loneliness, you might be back there someday.
The only other amusing thing that happened to me was yesterday I was walking around downtown, big surprise, and remember Spuds McKenzie?
Oh yeah, how can I forget?
Was it Bud Light dog? Or whatever?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the fuck kind of dog is that? It's a Staffordshire Terrier or something like that.
What is it?
A really weird muzzle.
It's got that really long face, and it's got the little thing over its eye, right?
Yeah,
the black spot.
They kind of have like a pit bull body, but then this kind of weird elongated face. People know what I'm talking about. There was one of those running around downtown, had no collar, no owner around that I could see. And as I was walking, it was making its way around, just going up to everybody like, and just wagging its whole body everywhere, jumping around on people, and everyone's like, this dog. I've never seen a dog more enthusiastic about saying hello to people, and also with more of a death wish, because it was just darting in and out of the street. Cars were like, pulling to the side, almost hitting this dog, like honking at the dog,
because you see that, you know it's just a matter of time, right?
Well, and you're like, where did this dog come from?
Yeah.
It's like it had never seen humans before, had never seen cars before. It was going up to everybody and like just being in their face, like jumping up and trying to get up on top of people, like licking people, grabbing onto them. There was this homeless guy sitting on the side of the road, and it ran up to the homeless guy and started licking the top of of the guy's coffee that he had there, and the guy's like, and it knocked over the coffee and like knocked into the guy. It was just wreaking havoc everywhere. And then there were these two cops on bicycles. Cops on bicycles. And it jumped in front of the cops on the bicycle, and one of the cops like almost went over his handlebars because he had to stop so fast. He's like, oh, doggy, a doggy. And the other cop was like, So I was trying to actually get the dog to come to me because I wanted it to stop running around like a freak, and I didn't want it to get hit by a car. So I was like, dog, come, dog. And so then everyone thought the dog was mine, and they were giving me these disapproving
because you're an irresponsible
looks.
dog owner.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing letting your dog run riot? So I got it to come over to me, and I went, sit. And it went, and immediately sat down. Then I went, lay down. And it went, and immediately laid down.
Oh, so it has an owner.
And then I went, roll over. And it rolled over, and it got
Really?
back up. And then I went, shake. And it shook. And I went, good, now stay. And then immediately ran away down the street again.
I wonder where that dog is right now.
I don't know.
Maybe just ran home eventually.
I love, every once in a while you'll see a dog who you know is kept in a fence all the time, or just maybe chained up in a yard.
Yeah,
and
prison break.
They get loose, and they just seem so pleased with everything that's going on. Or occasionally you'll see a couple dogs who have all gotten loose together, and they probably don't live in the same household, but they just kind of met up with each
They're
other.
a pack
like,
now.
Oh, you're running around free right now too. And they all look so self-satisfied.
It's really what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
They're always pining for that.
They want to roam. They want to check things out. They want to see new experiences, new people, new homeless people, new cops to trip up on their bicycles.
And then it's just, it's a nonstop excitement, right? Because if you're a dog that just like hangs out inside of a fence or just like hangs out in a house all day, things happen, but not that much, right? But anytime anything even mildly interesting happens, like if someone comes over to our house, my house, and my stupid dog will like jump on that person and like start rolling around and like chasing its tail.
It's a new thing to smell. It's a new thing
and
to look
bashing into walls and stuff because it's so exciting that something new is happening, you know?
Yeah. So I hope the dog is fine. Spuds McKenzie dog running around.
Maybe
downtown.
it was Spuds.
I don't know.
When was the last time we heard from him?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Probably dead.
Bring back Spuds and bring back the Bud Bowl. That's what I asked for.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Well, let's see what those silly celebrities have been up to this week. Top story: Kanye West and Kim Kardashian accused of not paying for ice cream.
That is shocking. Do they just get ice cream cones somewhere and then walk away without paying?
Basically, yeah.
Don't they have handlers that would pay for things like that?
I don't know.
So their handler just forget to pay?
Well, Kim and Kanye were in London. She was promoting her new clothing collection with her sisters, and so they were traveled to the capital. They were running around in Leicester Square, apparently without any of their security. So they're being mobbed by fans. So they ducked into a Haagen-Dazs cafe. They had some ice cream. Maybe a double chunky fudge or something like that. I don't know what kind of ice cream they're into. And then they walked out without paying. According to the waitress who served them, she took to Twitter afterwards and posted this comment. Dear Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, thank you for coming in. You could have at least paid for your ice cream. Regards, the girl that served you.
Ultimately, I think this Haagen-Dazs in Leicester Square will be fine, though, right?
I think so. I don't know how much they charge for like a double scoop of,
it can be expensive.
Of Rocky Road, but
I know going to Haagen-Dazs and you get like I had some sort of milkshake thing a while back. I think it costs like $10.
I didn't know there even were Haagen-Dazs cafes.
It was like in a hotel. It was sort of like a booth, and they were just serving up Haagen-Dazs there. Yeah. There are Haagen-Dazs like retail stores around in Europe, especially.
Where's Haagen-Dazs from? Sweden.
Sounds
like it. Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah, I bet you it is, right?
All right, what's the next shocking story we're going to get to here?
Oh, yeah, this is the big one.
We didn't mention this last week, and I guess it happened like Halloweenish time.
Oh, really? Because I just heard about it a couple days ago.
Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez split. And Justin Bieber has now spoken out, kind of, on the split.
Yeah. It is strange how we're looking at a picture of them next to each other, and how they have the same, like, body. They have the same build.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned many times that Bieber has the body of a 12-year-old girl.
Like, if you swapped their heads...
You wouldn't really know.
No, you wouldn't know.
She has boobs, kind of.
Let me look closer.
Yeah. If
I mean,
just-
you'd be able to tell because he
if
would
you
be
just
wearing a
gave
dress.
if you gave him a set of A cups, you wouldn't be able to tell. The
no,
difference.
they're pretty identical.
Bieber spoke out on a radio show open house party on November 10th. When asked about the split, he said, "I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on in my life. To even assess that, it doesn't make sense because I have not made any comment." That
That's
doesn't make any
confusing.
sense.
Oh, boy.
I think he's using words like assess. I don't think he knows what it means.
If we did Celebrity a Minute next week, and we had a story that said Justin Bieber is illiterate,
Yeah.
would that shock you?
No.
It wouldn't shock me either.
How old was he when he first made it? He was like 14, 15, something like that.
Pretty young, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what the school system is like in Canada. It's probably better than ours. I'm assuming they knew how to read by the time he was 14 or 15. Yeah, I don't know. He took to Twitter as well after a show in Boston, said, "Thank you, Boston. Focused on the positive. 30 million believers with me. I'm never leaving you because you were always there for me." Gomez, meanwhile, has maintained a low profile since their October 31st breakup and hasn't publicly spoken about the split. But according to sources close to Selena, as we always have in the Us Weekly stories, she broke up with Justin because it's been really challenging because of their crazy schedules, and she definitely had some major trust issues with Justin.
Oh, what's Justin out playing the field?
You know, if I were in his position, and I was, 18, 19, 20, how old
I guess
is
he
he
is
now?
getting older now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's presumably he is capable of getting an erection.
Okay, yes. Here's the question, though. Aren't the people who go to his shows
13.
like 13 or 12-year-old?
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I wonder what the groupie backstage situation is like. He's got some giant black man with a clipboard and a leather jacket.
I don't know, maybe
It's like-
maybe college kids might go to the shows.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pop music, and college kids like pop music.
Do you know any girl who's like 21 or 22 who would go to a Bieber show, number one, and who would suck his dick backstage, number two?
You know what? I never brought that up with any of the 21 or
maybe you should ask the
22-year-old
next
women
time,
I know.
next time you're hanging out. Ask them if this is possible, because I don't really see it happening, and so I'm assuming
You don't see...
I'm assuming he's having sex with just
This is the same-
boatloads of 13 and 14
No,
year
no, no,
olds
no.
at all
That's the
times.
same conversation we had about CeeLo last week, where you're like, couldn't imagine any woman would make love to CeeLo. He's rich.
Yeah, but at least CeeLo. Well, I was going to
He's
say
pretty too. Girls think he's pretty.
Yeah, but the reason girls think he's pretty is because the girls who think he's pretty are 13 and they're disturbed by actual male sexuality, and so they see a little neuter Justin Bieber and they're not disturbed by him because he looks so innocent.
What about?
But a girl who's actually in her 20s who would maybe have sex backstage with a pop star,
Yeah.
I don't think you look at him and think he's just dripping
What about the
raw
girl who's
sexuality.
like 14 or 15 and she's a Justin Bieber fan and is now 19 or 20
Yeah.
and goes to the show and she still loves Justin Bieber?
I would hope that she had moved on, but it's possible. Maybe he's banging those chicks.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm still not even convinced that he even has a penis.
Your inability to comprehend that like pop stars, that women throw themselves at pop stars is really bizarre to me.
No, I mean, I know that people throw themselves at Bieber, but I'm still convinced that it's mostly preteen girls who don't really know what sex means.
Oh, it's mostly, but I mean that mostly in the sense that it's like 10 million of those,
Yeah.
and then like a couple 100,000 of the older ones.
Well, maybe his pedophilia scandal will come out
Oh,
after
can you imagine? Oh my! Oh, I did hear today about that. Do you have that story?
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah,
What about?
the director of the BBC resigned.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
No, I didn't see that story.
Yeah, because of the Savile story.
Amid all the controversy, the cover up that the BBC.
I think it was our coverage, probably.
Our hard-hitting
that prompted-
coverage?
Yeah.
What's going on in America? The Warren and Bradley show has been
Directly
hitting
at
us
us.
again. This story is interesting just because I had no idea that anyone related to T.S. Eliot. Basically, T.S. Eliot's widow, Valerie Eliot, is died. She died at the age of 86.
No shit.
And I was like, T.S. Eliot, wasn't he born in the 1800s?
Maybe
Well,
early 20th century, actually.
I found out he was born in 1888 because I looked him up on Wikipedia.
Was he?
Yeah. But I guess he was 40 years older than his ex-wife, or actually, I guess his widow.
That is weird to be T.S. Eliot's widow.
And still alive.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Feels like being like Tolstoy's widow and still being alive or
Yeah.
something.
For those of you who are illiterate, T.S. Eliot was a very world-famous poet who was actually American but moved to England.
Yes, and worked in a bank for a while.
He did.
Didn't have very much money,
No.
but wrote some of the most important poetry of the 20th century.
Yes. She became the executor of his estate, edited his poems and letters for publication, and steadfastly refused to cooperate with would-be biographers in keeping with the poet's last wishes. So she was a devout widow.
So she didn't authorize a biography of Elliot?
No.
Oh, good for her.
Next story. Paul McCartney cheats death in helicopter scare.
Whoa.
The story, I was like, okay, God.
There's no way this was even mildly scary, right?
No, I was, there's a headline. Let's see what happened.
There's no story.
What could have happened to Sir Paul McCartney? He was being flown to his private helipad.
Yes.
The weather was kind of bad, and the helicopter dropped a ways, and then the pilot corrected and landed.
Which happens with helicopters quite often.
That's the danger you put yourself in when you have your private helipad and get helicoptered around from place to place.
I think about this every time I see somebody go up in a helicopter, a powerful person or a rich person or a celebrity. The fact that helicopters are actually very dangerous just inherently of themselves. And going in helicopter rides a lot, you're putting yourself in danger a lot. Just like you're flying in small planes a lot. That's why a lot of celebrities die that way.
I'm sure the percentage of people who die in plane crashes goes up exponentially if you just look at celebrities who have died.
Yes,
in plane
because
crashes.
the safest way to fly is to actually fly probably in a commercial airliner.
Yes.
That's well regulated, and those don't crash very often. But flying around in Lear jets into storms because you demand drunkenly that your pilot take off, that's the kind of thing that gets you in danger. Or always taking a helicopter everywhere and it would just be as easy to drive.
That's why Warren and I always fly commercial.
Yeah, I would never fly private. Have you ever been in a helicopter?
No.
I've never been in a helicopter. I'll never be in a helicopter. Can you imagine any situation where we'd be in the USO tour, if we eventually did that, we'd be dropped in with the Playboy bunnies and we'd get off the stage and it'd be like Apocalypse Now.
Dennis Hopper would be there. In places like Sao Paulo and Brazil and Rio.
Oh, it's impossible to get around.
Yeah, so people, they just constantly from building to building in helicopters because it takes 8 days by street to get anywhere.
That always fascinates me, the people that become super rich and they still live in places like that. Because they are kind of, by our standards, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Difficult to get around in.
Yeah.
Especially in Latin America. That I feel like I might just move up to, Cleveland or something.
Commute to Sao Paulo.
Yeah, something that's a little easier, I don't know if I'd hang around Sao Paulo and wait to get kidnapped.
All right, the last story this week. Rihanna denies Chris Brown relationship in live Facebook chat. This is also from Us Weekly.
Well, this should make you happy, right?
I don't believe her.
Oh, please.
The Diamond Singer, who is the most popular person on the social networking site with more than 62 million fans.
Really?
Sat down to chat with Bravo's Andy Cohen for an exclusive Facebook Live event on Thursday. She was taking questions from Cohen and from the so-called Rihanna Navy. I guess that's what her fan club is called. And talked about her on-again, off-again relationship with Chris Brown and the collaboration that they did on her last album. Chris Brown made an appearance on her new album, Unapologetic, in which they sang the duet Nobody's Business, which apparently was written about the media frenzy surrounding their relationship. Looking for some money quotes here.
Keep drilling, buddy.
Nobody's business is basically the way I look at everything regarding my personal life. Even though you have to witness it as being documented at every second, it still is mine. When it comes to my music, I'll give and I'll give and I'll give. I just feel like I need to keep a little bit for me that I get to decide.
Okay, can we talk about the extreme level of irony that's going on right now? That someone that talks about their work and stuff being the music, right, is doing a live chat on Facebook about their personal life, denying that their personal life is something they talk about.
And this is where I agree with you on this whole situation. Her work and her music and her personal life are completely inextricably combined. That is what she's selling. She's selling herself. And the music is almost incidental to just the public image and the frenzy that her persona stirs up in the Rihanna Navy and the other people who appreciate her and her music.
We talked about this with the Gangnam Style last week.
Yes.
The fact that it's a whole integrated thing, right? In K-pop and with Rihanna and all these people. It's what's going on with people's personal lives. It's what's going on TV. It's who they're dating. That the music is only a small part of this whole empire.
If Rihanna were completely reclusive, if she just came out of hiding every once in a while, made an album, went on tour, but then gave no interviews, did not date anyone who was famous, she dated like an architect from Mill Creek,
or James
Montana.
Brolin. She's like Barbara Streisand, right?
Yeah.
She's too timid to even go out on stage.
Right.
Yeah, but she just like occasionally does a movie where she's like pretends she's beautiful and we all pretend she's beautiful with her.
People would not just look at her music and be like, this is genius. This is a work of art. And she wouldn't sell millions and millions of albums.
But I mean, that's true of Lady Gaga too, right?
Yes.
It's
Well,
wearing meat around.
It's performance art. And
Yes.
their whole life is performance art. And it's interesting. I kind of wonder, like, if I were to get Lady Gaga, for instance, and invite her over for some coffee to
Yeah.
my apartment, and she wasn't allowed to bring any entourage, she wasn't allowed to wear meat, she just had to, like, wear street clothes and come in here. Could you even have a conversation with one of these people and get them to actually act like a normal human? Or are they so plugged in to being this crazy, larger-than-life pop star that it's impossible for them to even relate anymore as a normal human being?
Well, this is the thing that makes you wonder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Rihanna or Lady Gaga or Madonna or all these people self-aware to know what's going on in that sense?
I don't know.
Or is someone that's managing their career the person that's pulling these strings, and they're not even conscious of what's happening?
I'm assuming there's probably a spectrum, for each of these people, and they all fall somewhere on that spectrum. Maybe some of them are very self-aware. Maybe some of them are just caught up in the whole frenzy and don't
Yes.
even know what's going on. I know that you and I make a very concerted effort to walk that tightrope
Yeah.
between our public persona and our personal life.
Completely different, completely separate things. Well, that gets back to the Kardashians too, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be famous.
No,
don't
they
make
are
music.
just a brand.
They're
It's
just a brand, right?
yeah.
And so Kim married Chris Humphries, right, and then divorced him, which seems, looking back in retrospect, is something she just did for publicity's sake.
Probably.
Do you think she's deluded about the fact that she's living a real life, or is she conscious of the fact that she's just creating this image just bringing money into her?
I think people, especially like the Kardashians, who are famous only for being famous.
Yes.
They haven't really produced anything. I think they are probably so defensive about that they have to convince themselves that they are actually important and that they're not just living this circus for the sake of publicity.
Yeah.
I think they're probably more delusional than people who actually do produce something.
Yeah.
I mean, Rihanna does actually have talent as a performer and has something to give, I guess,
Yeah.
to the world at large. Not that I'm particularly interested
I'm not a pretty
in any
good
of
fan
it.
either. I don't think it's,
Yeah.
it's not like the greatest thing ever or anything,
No.
but she is producing something.
But I have to admit that, yeah, she is, and she's fucking hot, so that helps.
Yeah, exactly. At least she's got that going for her.
Yeah. So
Like
I
a
think-
certain Kardashian sister I can think of who,
None of them are very good looking.
one of them particularly though.
Yeah. Well,
Man alive.
Jesus.
Looks like she could rip your arms out with sockets.
I guess that's the end of Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Good.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
So we usually avoid politics on this show.
Because of your crazy right-wing agenda?
No. I'm actually insanely liberal socially, but we've discussed before how much I hate the government.
Yeah.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the big news is that
Mitt Romney is our new president.
Barack Obama was reelected for his second term as U.S. president. I was actually kind of surprised by how close it was.
Really? Because I was surprised by how it wasn't close.
Well, not
So I thought going
in
in-
the delegate count, but in terms of popular vote, it was only a few million votes.
Well, what I was hearing before it happened, and I wasn't paying that close attention. I wasn't reading Nate Silver or anything, or I wasn't doing that much research, but it was really close, and it could swing either way. And then I know when I went to watch it with some friends on Tuesday night, you could tell just by the way everything was breaking that it was like, this isn't going to be close at all.
Yeah, when they're, Ohio.
It wasn't- yeah.
And, yeah. It was, at the risk of alienating listeners, I wasn't pleased with the outcome of the election, not because I was particularly a supporter of Romney's, but what worries me is a trend that I think has been happening in America for a while now, where it seems like the overall mentality has turned to, we like shit, give us shit, and we will elect the people who we think will give us the most shit. And I think that's kind of what the election ended up being about. Because if you look at exit polling data and things like that, that's seemed to be sort of the trend. And it really worries me that we're getting to the point, we have a $16 trillion deficit right now. It's projected it'll probably be over 20 trillion.
Yeah.
Right now, they're already saying that anyone under 18 owes like $219,000
I've
in
got
order
it. No
to pay
problem.
back.
I can write a check right now.
Our deficit is larger than our GDP. And nobody seems to get this. Like, this is not sustainable. It is not good. And Obama is not, he talks about fiscal responsibility. I want the government to be run like a business. I don't want the government to be run like, oh, this is a social experiment, or there are certain things that we want to encourage people to do and not encourage people to do. We want to change behavior. I want the government to be a fiscally responsible business. There are, as we've said before, I don't know if there would have been that much difference between Romney and Obama when the final tally is in place in terms of how much money is spent, on terms of whether or not we'd get the deficit in hand. But what worries me is the attitude of the American people in... It just seems like I've talked about before where we're in trouble once the majority of the people in America move to the side of give me shit. I want shit. I'm annoyed that people have shit and I don't have shit. You should take shit from the people who have shit and give it to me so I'll have shit. And it seems like that's where we are now. And I don't know if we can ever come back from that.
I don't know, it swings back and forth, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the thing. What happens, we react to these elections every 4 years for the president, and we go, oh my God, look at this big swing the country's taken. 2 years later, in the midterm elections, the party that lost 2 years previously makes a huge gain in Congress. And
Not
that
always,
sweeps
but
back
sometimes, yeah.
The vast majority of times. And then a couple years later, there'll be a Republican president. 2 years after that election, the Democrats will take a bunch of Congress. It just goes back and forth.
I don't know. I just think that maybe in terms of spending, the damage is so great now that I don't know if we can really swing back from it, or if we do, it'll take decades and decades. Because, I mean, we owe our soul to China. We have no fucking money. It's the idea that our GDP is less than our deficit is staggering to me, and nobody seems to care. I do agree with you on this, especially with people who talk about sustainability, right? Yeah.
We get a lot of stuff about, make sure you got sustainable cheese you're eating there. Or make sure, that car gets a couple miles to the gallon better than the other car you had before.
Right.
But to really spend and spend and spend, and to have a really onerous national debt, and to be paying a huge part of our federal spending on just financing that debt.
Right.
It seems like that might be something we want to get a clamp on.
Well, and it's a thing that's never going to be popular, because politicians know that if we promise people shit, then they will elect us into office. That's what the Democrat Party has been based on for the last 40 years, is we're going to give you shit. And you would think that, you look at Greece or Spain, where they're putting in these austerity measures to try to get a handle on the bullshit that I love that too, is America is going towards Europe in terms of the amount of spending that goes to social safety net, to social programs. And we look at Europe that is completely bankrupt, and they're having to institute all these austerity programs, and we never stop and think, maybe we don't want to do the exact same fucking thing that they did that got them in such fucking trouble. But nobody ever thinks that. But anyway, you go to Greece and you're like, okay, well, people are going to have to realize that they have to buck up and make some sacrifices. No, they riot in the street and start burning buildings down and destroying priceless works of art, because they're like, oh, you're going to actually not get as much pension as we promised you initially. You're going to have to retire at 65 as opposed to 40 or whatever the fuck it was in Greece. People don't think, okay, we got to tighten our belts and buck up. They go and freak out and start rioting. And I think that's where...
That's the direction we're headed?
That's where we're headed, I think. I don't know.
That's dark vision of the future.
Yeah. Now that we've put everyone else to sleep.
This can't be in the podcast.
Yeah, it might be. We'll see.
We have to cut this out.
So we've sort of developed a tradition on the show where when we have nothing else to talk about, we sit here trying to think of a hypothetical situation that might have some sort of humorous potential that we could extract from it. And as Warren and I were just sitting here for a good 5 minutes.
Just staring off
sort of
into
staring
nowhere.
off into space. Warren's looking out the window because that's usually where he gets his inspiration. He'll see like a building.
Yeah, if you go back over some of the previous hypothetical stand-up shows, you'll notice that a lot of the things are things that I can see from Brad's apartment.
Yes.
That'll spring to mind, and then I'll talk about them.
The
train tracks, the
Tower.
building.
And for some reason, as I was sitting here with my mind completely blank, trying to think of something that we could talk about, suddenly my mind just went to, if you had to have sex with any animal, let's say your family was kidnapped. There were gangsters. You had gotten into some gambling debt. You owed a ton of money that you could never pay back. And the big daddy, the big gangster, he kidnaps your family. He's got them held hostage, guns to their heads. And he says, I will forgive your gambling debt. I will let your family go free.
I'm waiting just for what's this going to be.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, what's it going to be?
But you have to have sexual intercourse with any non-human animal. Which one would you pick? And you can pick any one. Which one would you pick and why?
Well, the one my mind goes to right away is sheep.
The sheep. The old standby, the traditional favorite.
Right? Don't you hear about these, like, shepherds in, like, Spain, right? And that's what they practice on. They have sex with their sheep.
Practice.
That's what my understanding is that's what they do that before they actually have sex with a woman.
So they can practice, like, lasting long enough. Like, make sure that... bring the sheep to orgasm, and you'll be an amazing lover.
But then you have to cast the sheep aside, which is the tearful scene where it's like, I can't see you anymore.
Sheep just outside your window all the time.
So that makes me think that... it must be easy to have sex with a sheep.
Well, are you thinking there must be some sort of benefit to the sheep over other animals?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not worried about the sheep. I'm worried about myself.
You're thinking about performance of the animal or your performance?
I'm worried about. I'm not worried about anyone. I'm not worried about the sheep being satisfied.
A good lover.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm worried about is me getting injured.
Yeah.
Or me having a really unpleasant, disturbing experience. What I'm thinking about the sheep.
I think having sex with any animal would be pretty unpleasant and disturbing.
Well, the sheep. But I think the sheep would be probably. It's just like a ball of fur, and you have sex with this like ball of fur, which people have apparently been doing for generations.
Yeah, but
and your family's saved.
I think people are more having sex with the sheep not because they've had a list of animals and they've decided the pros and cons of each animal.
They happen to be out in the field.
They're shepherds and they're sheep there. They're not going to have... There's like the dog that's helping them guard the sheep, or there's the sheep.
Yeah, I'm friends with the dog. I mean, can you think of a better animal?
So you wouldn't have sex with an animal you were friends with? Is that what you're saying?
You do hear sometimes about guys going out in the ocean and having like sex with like dolphins too, right?
Really?
Yes, I have heard about this.
How the hell do you do that?
I don't know.
You have to have scuba gear on. And
you're just like them. They're very friendly.
Once you dock with the dolphin, and they're just like they're probably just going all over. Or does the female dolphin, assuming it's a female dolphin you're having sex with, does she know once intercourse has been initiated? She like sits there with her blowhole up above the surface, and you just do what you do. I don't know. How does that work?
I've heard about this happening. That's all I know. People have been arrested, I think, in the past.
I wouldn't know where to put it.
No, and I don't know. Maybe people have been arrested for like molesting the dolphins.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that would be hard too, right? You'd be in the ocean.
Yeah,
that's harder than a sheep.
Yeah,
do you have something better than a sheep?
If I had to have sex with it, so you're picking sheep,
unless you can come up with something better. Because you're sort of poo-pooing my idea, but I'm like, I can't think of anything that's even remotely better than a sheep.
Bestiality. Because I don't want to make my decision based on which animal would I be most attracted to, because that's just wrong.
But tell us which animal you'd be most attracted to.
I don't know. I've never really thought of it that way. I mean, if I had to pick the animal I liked the most, it would be dogs.
Yeah, but I wouldn't ever want to do that to a dog.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that because I like them so much. But the thing is, too, I don't think the animal's really going to be that upset because, people get arrested for molesting animals. And let's make this clear. I am against
So you're endorsing bestiality?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the opposite of that. I am not endorsing bestiality. Okay. I don't think it's a good idea. I think there's something wrong with you, Warren, for wanting to have sex with a sheep. But if I had to, if my family was held hostage, I wouldn't pick the dog because I do like dogs. But that being said, I don't think the dog would be particularly upset necessarily because they're a dog. They don't care.
You think?
You're paying attention to them. They don't care.
I don't know. The fact that a dog would get creeped out.
Some dogs get off on their owners yelling at them just because it means that they're being paid attention to,
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure it's a big dog.
I wouldn't do the horse because I could get stepped on or kicked.
As most people know about the Enumclaw situation we had here.
Yes, famously kicked to death by a horse.
Apparently there's videos of this, too. Have you never viewed this?
No.
I don't think it was the actual time when the guy was killed, but they've taped it before when he's done this before.
Right.
I've never actually looked at it.
His magic trick or something. People at a party, look what I can do.
Yeah, wow. I mean, as far as YouTube videos go that I don't really want to see, that's up there.
See, this is another one of those conversations. Like, obviously, in our hypothetical, we have to have sex with the sheep or whatever animal. But the idea that you are a shepherd out on, tending the flocks by night, and you're so desperate for it that you have sex with the sheep, because we talked about this before, how we wouldn't go gay.
We've talked about it in prison.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in ships. But we don't.
Are these cultures where they just haven't discovered jacking off?
We're never going to get to the roots of this.
I don't know.
There's something about.
And you can't interview people who've had sex with sheep because most people probably aren't going to admit it.
This is the other thing I wonder about, though. Is this what happens? I mean, the shepherds. Let's say he's out and just gone, doesn't see women ever, right?
Right.
And maybe occasionally sees his siblings and mother when he goes home to town.
Right.
ultimately that might warp him in some way, right?
You think he starts actually becoming attracted to the sheep?
Or just the fact that
That sheep is give me a look over there. Look at her.
I don't know. There must be some
pretty mouth.
explanation, right?
Well, we all saw Brokeback Mountain, and we know that when they were faced between sheep or each other, they chose each other.
I also think there may have been some homosexuality in that movie.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Or did they become homosexuality because the alternative was so much worse? Ang Lee didn't explore that aspect
I don't know
of the
if
film.
that's what he was going for. Or Annie Prue was really talking about, our hypothetical. She's like, this is interesting. And then she typed out a story about it.
Well, it was actually Larry McMurtry who wrote the short story originally.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought he wrote the screenplay.
I thought he wrote the short
Annie Prue
story.
wrote the
and then-
story. Larry McMurtry got the Oscar for writing the screenplay.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
I don't think so. Because I remember him wearing jeans to the Oscars.
Well, I know Larry McMurtry's gay, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Makes sense, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Well, or maybe he's not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Maybe he
He's
has sex
dead,
with
isn't
sheep.
he? We can't, libel
sure.
him right now.
Well, no, you can libel them once they're dead. It's when
Yeah, I
they're
know. That's
alive
what I'm
you have to
saying.
worry
If
about
he's
it.
still alive.
Yeah. So we still haven't come to a solution on this problem here. I might just pick, a duck or something.
A duck?
Yeah. Because you just grab them. You grab them by the
But
leg.
you're going to, kill it.
No, I don't think so. They have a cloaca.
Excuse me?
Cloaca. It's the...
That's the interchangeable, hole they have?
Yeah, it's the multi-purpose ass, piss, sex.
That's what you would go with?
And you could just use it like a... What are those things called? The fleshlight?
Oh, Jesus. This has gone really dark.
Yeah, has it?
That's
Well,
much worse.
I heard apparently in ancient Japan, I don't know if this is libeling the entire country,
get sued by...
but supposedly that
Japan.
was common. Well, not common.
Oh,
but,
come on. There's no way people are having sex with ducks commonly.
Well, I
in
heard that
Japan.
people did have sex with ducks. Maybe if any of our Japanese listeners, if Karen Ito is listening, she can tell us whether or not people have sex with ducks in Japan. But that seems more, and it would just be like, "Quack, quack, quack," and you just have sex with the duck. Because the sheep, I don't know, maybe you would warp it mentally or something by having sex with it.
Oh, there's nothing going on upstairs in sheep.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's one of the more harmless ones to do,
That is
right?
true. They are really fucking stupid.
They're really stupid. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
You're just another man they've had sex with probably after all the shepherds have had their way with them.
Okay, so you would have sex with a sheep.
I can't... Duck is not better. I'll tell you that right now.
So you pick sheep.
My forced... family at gunpoint. Yes.
So you would.
Yes.
That's what you're
Yes. Yes.
Sick fucker.
All right, duck fucker. Whatever.
All right, I think that's enough time for the Warren and Bradley Show this week. This has been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor,
It's the other host, Warren Van.
saying...
Keep your hands off the ducks, people.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast at warrenandbradley.com.
Maybe. But sometimes it's also just, this is a podcast. It has a certain, if you like podcasts, then you might like the show. If you don't like podcasts, then you're probably not going to like the show.
That's true. I know what you're saying. I know the people
know?
that I know that listen to podcasts do like the show because they kind of understand what the podcast
Right. And I think we have some
thing is.
friends who might listen occasionally, even though they don't really like podcasts, but they listen because it's us. And so they might be like, yes.
No, like, this is pointless.
It's two
We're just
people
listening to-
talking,
yeah, we don't like those people
blathering on about
anyways.
nothing.
Now we have to listen
Yeah.
to them recorded talking.
It's been getting fracking cold lately.
It has been, but also last couple days we saw the sun a little bit.
We did, and that's why it's been so cold. And
Yes.
basically, the Pacific Northwest weather pattern, when it gets into the wintertime, if it's cloudy and rainy, then it's not as cold, and so we don't get that much snow because if there's cloud cover,
and there's almost always cloud cover.
Yeah, it warms up a bit. But when you get a nice clear day, that's when the temperature drops. It was like 28 degrees this morning, I think, when I woke
lovely.
up. And I've been irritated because
No.
This is a very specific.
We're hitting all the beats, here. We're asking for reviews. We're talking about the weather, and now you're going to start complaining.
Well,
so
no.
everyone, if you're wondering what show you're listening to, you know what show you're listening to.
This is a very specific irritation that I have to report on. I like hats.
The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Episode 51 of the Warren and Bradley Show, only one episode away from a one-year anniversary.
I knew you were going to talk about that. A 50-second show isn't that amazing an
Well,
accomplishment.
but it means a year.
Have we really done one every single week?
Yeah, every single week for a year.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we've been very consistent.
That we started the show and then we have delivered every single week.
That's how much we care about our audience. There's been times, well, pretty much you've been the only one who's gone at it on the top
Well,
of
take a
your
look
head.
at this.
Warren is finding a cap right now.
This is what I wore over today.
Yes.
Let me put this on. That's a normal stocking cap, right?
Yeah, but it has a label on it, on the outside of it. It's a Carhartt stocking cap that Warren is wearing right now.
That drives you crazy?
I cannot have a label. See, because I can find hats. I actually went to the mall yesterday, which is a whole other ordeal that I don't even really want to talk about.
Well, of course you're going to find like ridiculous caps like that at the
where
mall.
else? Where the fuck else are we going to go?
Well, how about Fred Meyer? Have you tried Fred Meyer?
Yes, I've tried Fred Meyer.
They don't have them?
They have stocking caps, but the only ones that were slightly like the ones I wanted were like Columbia Sportswear emblazoned on the fold up on the thing.
Yeah.
I just want a basic black with no label.
You can get a black one like the one I have in my hand right now and remove the label. This is a heavy duty. This is like a working man's stocking cap.
Yeah, but
right?
see, that's the other thing too. I want a nice thin, maybe merino wool. Soft.
Okay, now see how this what's happening here? The problem isn't the stocking cap industry. The problem is you because you're getting very weirdly picky about a stocking cap.
That's not that weirdly picky. That's a very basic item.
I don't want to. What kind of? You want a special kind of wool?
Merino wool. It's a very soft wool.
And you want to search
when it's cold. I like to keep the old ears warm.
Yeah.
And the thing that irritates me is that,
so to speak,
there is, the stocking cap, the watch cap, the toque, as some Canadian friends might call it.
Yeah.
It's a very basic item that you would think that you'd be able to find very easily. And yes, you can go to most stores and they have stocking caps, but almost every single one of them have morphed into that ridiculous Smurf hat that everyone wears now, where it's way too long. So you put it on top of your head, and then you've got this big nipple sticking out over the top of your head, which really annoys the hell out of me.
No, you're supposed to fold it, though.
Well, even if you fold it, there's too much. There's way too much. And so you're folding it all the way to like the crown of your head.
Oh, you have a little
ridiculous.
like ring around the top there, fold it over.
And I hate this thing that people do where girls can get away with it for some reason, it's fine, but the men who go and like put it on the very back of their head, so it's like barely sitting perched on their head, and then they've got this giant nipple sticking out in the back. They look like a fucking Smurf, and it really pisses me off.
Well, it's because it's just like superfluous at that point.
Yeah, what is it doing?
It's just like a decoration.
It's a woolen cap. It's supposed to be keeping your head warm. So I want a normal, basic, black wool cap that you can fold over and then will fit closely. But we've made arrangements. If you're not going to be around, I slave away over the hot computer to make sure that the audience gets a brand new episode of the Warren and Bradley Show every week, and we know that they appreciate us for that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Speaking of appreciation, audience members, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes. Make sure you leave a review for us on iTunes, because that's how we climb the charts.
I haven't looked at that in months and months and months. Do we have more reviews than we used to?
I think there's like 20.
There's 20?
Well, there's 20 ratings. I'm not sure if there's 20 reviews.
Oh, okay. I don't remember there being nearly that many reviews.
Yeah.
But they're all positive.
They're all very positive, yeah.
Yeah. I looked at that for the first couple weeks, and I haven't taken a look since
I'm kind
then.
of looking forward to getting our first negative review at some point. Like, because usually...
Well, don't ask for it.
What's that?
You don't want to...
Well, no. I mean, only if... I don't want people to just, for the hell of it, write a negative review, unless they really mean it. But
I get negative reviews to my face occasionally, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anything online.
Yeah, but our friends... See, that's the thing about the whole friend thing.
Yeah, it's a real sham.
Well, no. But they're more apt to tell you shit that isn't really constructive necessarily. Like...
But maybe they feel that they are comfortable enough to tell you the truth sometimes.